You have been involved in starting up multiple companies in various sectors. Can you walk us through the process of building a company up from scratch? And what strategies do you use to ensure their growth?
I can give two answers, two sort of answers. One could be a very philosophical answer, which would look good in an interview. But I'll tell you the real answer. The real answer is you don't know when you will start something. Um you do it, you keep doing it, you keep pushing, and then one fine day you realize that you've created something. That's when I think you sort of put a lot of things that you've learned over the years into practice and create a business out of it. A lot of times, I think the things that I started did not really start as a business venture. It just started as an experiment. Let's see how this will work. Let's see what is going to happen, etc., etc. So I think really in the sense of starting something, as long as it's driven by something that you really love or something that you really want, something that you really love is a very buzzword that people like to use. But honestly speaking, it's really something that you need and you really want to sort of do. That would drive a lot of things, a lot of work that you do. Quickly giving an example, I worked in Bombay for around 9 years and then we moved to Surat. Um, by the way, my husband is also from IIFT, same batch. Uh, so when we moved here, it was infinitely hard for us to relocate to a tier two city. But at the same time, I think because tier two city has an ecosystem which allows you to experiment, you have this whole support system. You can take risks. 5 years back, I would crib, why did I come to this city? Now I say this is the best thing that has happened to me. So I think that especially after COVID, it has a lot of people have started to realize that no matter where you are, you can still do the things you want to. So I don't think people would say, okay, an investment banker can be based out of a sleepy city like Surat, but I think you can be, and you can still pull big deals sitting here. Yeah, so that's my limited advice and answer.
We have seen an increase in the number of tech based startups, and you have been working closely with them. Going forward, how do you think these will grow, and what would be the relevant skill sets students would need to be a part of these growing industries?
I'll give the second answer first. The skill set that you really require is the ability to take risks and the ability to work even like an office boy when required. So if you have the humility to learn whatever it takes to learn to run a company, whether it's sweeping the floor or writing a code, I think if you're able to do that, then your success is possible in startups or tech driven industry. Apart from understanding the business cycles and understanding the trends and understanding what is working, etc., etc. So I think the core skill set is the ability to be open and learn new things, even if you have to get rid of your whole MBA jargons that you've learned. So that's my answer to the second question. The first question is how this will grow. I think it's anybody's guess really. I think it will only grow north. I don't know the percentage. I don't know where it will go, but the flurry of activity that we are seeing in different sectors, from traditional sectors like agri to the non-traditional sectors of deep tech, I think there is a flurry of activity everywhere. Particularly this year, I would dedicate to D2C as a segment. There's a storm of D2C happening here right now, and then the second segment that I would personally bet on is agri tech. Uh, Again, there's the whole farmer agitation happening. It's one of the most broken segments in the country. So I would think these two segments would really get my attention this year. And then because of the flurry of activity that is happening in the entire tech and startups industry, a lot of international VCs are going to come to India. We are already seeing that happening. Larger VCs have put out larger capital to the sector, and smaller VCs from across the world have started to set up shops here. I think also because Chinese money is sort of now not coming to India any longer because of the policies that the government has put in. That vacuum may not be felt. There will be a lot of money that will come from other international sources. So I'm very positive about where this is going to go. I don't know the size, like I said, but it's only norths, and it's really huge in terms of the growth.
Just after your MBA, you got to work in Lehman Brothers, but that's when the tragedy struck with the 2008 crisis. What impact did it have on you, having experienced it just after joining? And what are your suggestions for students graduating in a similar economic crisis?
Um, I don't think this is a similar economic crisis. I am actually really jealous of all of you because you guys are in such exciting times. I own a co-working space here in Surat, and I have 19-year-olds dropping out of college and working on their own. There's a huge gig economy happening. People are also more open to having more career options. So I don't think you guys are in the middle of an economic crisis. If anything, you guys are in the middle of great place. But having said that, assuming that things go south and things are not great, uh, from my personal experience, of course, I'd be lying if I say that we were not heartbroken when the whole crisis happened. But I think fortunately for me, just before Lehman went bankrupt, I'd moved ships already to Enam, which was another largest domestic investment banks of its times. And I did see action for a lot of IPOs for next 6 months because in India we were living in a lag of 6 months when tragedy really struck in India. So I did see the highs of new listings, etc. But the next 1.5 years, 2 years were really bleak. Um but I think we used a lot of our time to sort of understand business cycles, analyze companies, reading annual reports on end. I also think that we had great set of mentors who were pushing us every day to, continuously analyze companies, understand business, implement whatever you've learned. Of course, there was no really live deal happening, but we never stopped meeting people. Um, a very good thing that has stuck with me since forever was my boss had told me to analyze a company, and I said okay, and I went back and I said I analyzed the balance sheet, I analyzed the P&L, and then he said okay, but what coffee does he like? And I was like, I don't know, and neither do I care. So he said next time when you research any company, you should know the guy's wife's skin color also. So, which essentially means that if you're doing any research, the research needs to be 360-degree over and over again. And that sort of allowed me, or at least allowed me to drift through this entire crisis because I think personally I learned a lot of things from colleagues, from people around me. And never lost hope, I guess. But I do think I do have a regret that I should have used that time to also start out something of my own. I just think that it wasn't probably the right time, or I didn't have the right mindset enough to do it. But if I had to reinvent the wheels, I would start out earlier than I did really start out on my own. So I think you guys are in the middle of a great time and you should utilize it totally.
It was very interesting to learn that you moonlight as a stand up comedian. Could you please share how you developed an interest in it and how your experience has been?
I actually did not know what is stand-up comedy before my first open mic. Um, I think I've always been very good at mimicry. I observe people and I sort of mimic them back. That's my limited comedy nerve, I think. But I don't know if you guys know Atul Khatri. He's a very famous comedian, and one of my colleagues said, "Do you want to come out with me one of these nights for a drink?" And I said, "Okay." I had just delivered then. My son was 6 months old, and I was really frustrated sitting at home. And she said, "Let me take you out." I did. Turns out that we went to a stand-up comedy show. I still don't know that this is a stand-up comedy show. There are guys who go to the mic and they are cracking jokes and we are all laughing. And then she said, why don't you meet Atul? Atul is a friend of mine. And I said, wow, Atul, you were so funny. And I think I'm funny as well. So he's like, really? Because not a lot of people say that. So I said, no, I think I'm really funny. And he said, okay, there's an open mic happening tomorrow night. would you come? Write your own jokes and come. And I said, okay, because I thought it was a piece of cake. I was like, of course. So I went the next day. I wrote very weird jokes, I think, which came from my personal experience. And I did that open mic. I took my husband, 12 neighbors, my brother, and a lot of his friends, just so that they can laugh on my jokes in case they are not funny. And all of them came, and I won that open mic. And then I said, look, I think I'm funny, and I hope you guys did not laugh just because you're my relatives or friends, etc. But I think after that, things did not look back. I kept doing comedy over and over again, and it's been a great journey. When I moved to Surat, I was really heartbroken because Surat did not have a very active comedy scene. So I thought कि नहीं है तो खुद ही बना लेते हैं. So I opened my own production company here. We hosted the first ever open mic in Surat. I got a lot of my comedian friends from Bombay to keep coming to Surat and start doing open mics and comedy shows here. पर यहाँ पे कोई venues नहीं थे. So I was like नहीं है तो खुद ही बना लेते हैं. So I opened a co-working space here. I think one of the most expensive ways of making friends. I did not have any friends here, uh, so that led to this, and yeah, it's been a great experience doing all of these multiple things together. There has obviously been a stop for last 1.5 years because of COVID, but we'll start very soon again, hopefully. Yeah.
It would have been a proud moment for you to receive the Emerging Female Entrepreneur Award from Mrs. Smriti Irani. What advice would you like to give your fellow aspiring female entrepreneurs?
I don't think my advice is very specific to female entrepreneurs. I would ideally say advice specific to all entrepreneurs, but I'll add what females, particularly may sort of use that piece. But in general, I think my advice is very simple. Just keep doing what you're doing consistently until you sort of figure out that okay, there's a PMF or there's a product market fit of what I'm trying to do. uh, it doesn't matter if you're someone who is just starting out. It does not matter if you're the first person to do it in a city. If it does not matter if it's small. uh, when I was sitting at home, and I say I was sitting at home was particularly for a period of 3 months when I just delivered and I wasn't keeping really well. I wasn't used to the idea of just sitting around. So we even opened a small reading club for kids, which and I designed my own stories. We designed our own modules to sort of teach kids how to be more interested in reading. PS, I hate kids, except my own. But 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 I think that was a great experience. So in the sense that if you keep doing things one after the other, all of them together someday come together, and you're able to connect a lot of dots, and you use all of that together in any sort of business that you create. So I think no work that you would do is small, no experience that you gather is small. If I were you, I would not just be sitting at home and doing my MBA. I would be doing multiple life projects right now, even if it means can I track inventory for you if you're selling a product, because I don't know how to do that, by the way, and I'd love to do that with someone. So if as long as you guys are open to learning things. Anything, even making a creative for an Instagram page. By the way, I also opened a digital marketing agency, which is still running. My partner runs it now. So my advice is just keep doing what you're doing consistently, and all of the experience that you gather over the years come together, and you're able to join all the dots to implement it in the business that you eventually would do. Uh, for female entrepreneurs. I think, and I would not be wrong to say that India is a rather hostile territory for women. Um, and I also like to say that somehow the career trajectory and the biological trajectory for women is always sort of uh, at loggerheads with each other. And I think if you're able to park all of your worries in one corner and keep doing, I think the mantra is just to keep doing without really worrying about how would it offend people. How would my husband cope up with it? How would my kid cope up with it? I think everyone copes up, and I think it's just in your head. Of course, you choose your partner well. I think I did choose my partner really well, and as long as you're able to do that and divide responsibilities equally between partners, then I think you're home and you don't need to be worrying about what gender you really belong to. So that's my advice. Just keep doing your thing and don't think about what people are thinking. You should be home.
Who was your favorite faculty?
I don't remember any faculty. Um, no, there was this one person called Saikat Banerjee who used to teach us marketing, and he scolded me really badly one day for combing hair in the class. And after which I never ever missed his class. So I think I'd give him my favorite faculty.
Tell us about your most memorable trip that you took during those 2 years.
Okay, actually a lot, but I think the best trips were going to PVR Priya at 7 a.m. in the morning to catch a movie for 40 rupees every time because 7 a.m. shows were for 40 rupees. So multiple trips to Priya to watch a movie, I think.
Oh,
All
that's great.
stuffed in one auto. I think 7 people stuffed in one auto.
All right. Next question would be your favorite food or snack from Delhi.
Momos.
All right. What's a question that has been repeatedly asked to you?
By who? Like a lot of people ask
Yeah.
different. Okay.
No, generally.
Ghar kab aoge is the latest question my son asks me.
Okay. Tell us your favorite one-liner or stand-up comedy bit.
Okay. It's rather crass. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay, I think no, I'm not going to say that, but I have a bit. It's a little dark. That I am very rich. I'm so rich that my family has its own Shamshan Ghat. It's in Rajasthan. We have chhatris everywhere, and I was telling Pratik that maybe we should create a business out of this. How about destination funerals, just like Airbnb? And maybe we'll do a tie-up with Ferns and Petals. We'll have fancy decor at the funeral. And I'm so rich that I also worry about the ROI that Samshan Ghat is getting for us. I think it's a disastrous ROI. People are not dying in my house. We'll think about what to do to get that ROI in place.
Okay. That was really great. What's something they don't teach you in college, but that you should probably know?
What they don't teach you in college is that you should not have the cushion of salaries if you have to grow in life. Don't think about the packages people will arrive at. Don't think about the position or the title that you are getting. They don't teach you this at college. And I think you should stop worrying about it. As long as obviously you're financially secure. Obviously people come from different backgrounds and people have different constraints. But I think we overblow the constraints in our mind. Just take risks is what people don't teach you in these schools.
Your favorite stand-up artists?
Oh, a lot of them. But I really like Atul Khatri because his jokes are so simple and consistent and everyone laughs. I really like him. I also like Biswa a lot. So these two people.
Now the final question.
Sorry, my most favorite comedian, by the way, is this fellow called Puneet Panya. You should all follow him on Chalta Hai Comedy. Oh my god, the most scathing humor ever. So yeah, sorry, actually Puneet wins the pot.
Now I'll ask the last question and my personal favorite. Why MBA?
Don't do MBA, guys.
Oh,
Don't do it.
simple advice.
Why MBA for me was I didn't want to get married early. That's why MBA for me. But given a choice, there should be no MBA. Sorry to break your hearts.
Yeah, wish we had this knowledge a year ago. Oh, too late.
Don't make mistakes, guys. This is your mistake. Live it. But I can guarantee you this will be the most beautiful mistakes that you guys have made.